Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Final Show Films. I'm John, the executive producer here, and I want to thank you all for tuning in and watching us as we continue on this weird space fantasy journey here in Stardust. I particularly want to thank our patrons, our $25 tier supporters, Rowan Parker, Trevian Alexander, Samantha Bates, Scout Waterflame, and Elle, without whom we wouldn't be able to do nearly as much of the things that we do. So thank you all very much for your support over the years and for everything that you watch, because you watching us and supporting us is the only way we keep doing it. In the meantime, those of you watching live, please sit back, relax, and enjoy. And we're live.
All right, let's do this.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm William. I'm your game master. Welcome back to Stardust RPG on RPG on Trails of Stardust.
I did my part right this time. Once.
Again, I'm William. I'm your game master. Still a little loopy from being sick, but you know. But joining me today, we have Jack, also Black Lives Matter, trans rights and human rights. The other things that we say that I'm not thinking of right now, believe women. My head is not in the right place to remember all of these things.
Hi, I'm Jack. I'm the oldest third of the Birds and the Bees. I'm playing Till Wayland, the avian monk, Way of the Iron Path, and I don't have to roll Destiny.
Yep.
I feel like if you count Bee's armor as part of Bee's armor is the oldest third of the Birds and the Bees.
Oh yes,
Oldest four.
by a long shot.
I am
Stardust.
I'm Jerry. I am playing Kendall, Eladrin Warlock. I don't have to roll Destiny either, but I'm going to anyways. Sorry, I already had that joke planned, and now I had to modify it.
Sorry.
I will hold it against you forever.
Wonderful.
I appreciate Craig's one-liner and really wish that I could like physically insert a GIF into a Zoom call, because I really wanted to do the elevator pitch YouTube channel. That's the name of the movie.
Yeah, that's the name of the movie.
Super
Camille.
easy. Barely an inconvenience.
Hi, I'm Camille. I'm playing Gideon Eglin, the avian rogue, and he is the middle third of the Birds and the Bees.
No matter which way you point it.
True.
No.
Actually,
No.
no, he's the youngest, so you point it a different way.
Yeah, if you're counting Bees.
Oh yeah,
armor,
if you're
that
counting
makes me
Bees'
youngest.
armor, then no, I'm actually the youngest. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're counting it as four individuals because the armor is separate, then you're still middle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Holly.
Hi, I'm Holly. I'm playing Mistel. She is an Envarin rogue.
And John.
I'm John. I'm playing Coltarn, the orc artificer / gadgeteer / maker of certain decisions.
Yep.
I put no
And
qualifier
Craig.
on that.
Hi, I'm playing Bees, a swarm of nocturne and torch bees that are collectively a swarm keeper ranger, and we're just a little guy.
Times 1,000. And Cody.
Hi, Cody. I'm playing Rouge Al Rul, Void Keeper Paladin, and possibly going to be talking about Coltarn about RP trees, the most dangerous variant of trees, the rocket propelled kind.
Rocket propelled trees.
The every time you say your character's name, I mishear it, and I keep wanting to ask how your brother Raish is doing.
I'll rule, not I'll rule.
I know it's Al Rul. I can see it on the card, but I always hear Al Ghul every time you say it.
Same.
All right, now Now I want the DC universe, but the only difference is that Ra's al Ghul is a Loxodon.
Right?
What would Ra's
and his
al Ghul
brother is
be?
and his brother is an interdimensional cop.
What would Ra's al
Right.
Ghul be in D&D? Arcane trickster,
Mastermind
or just a
rogue.
warlock?
BBEG.
I mean, yeah. Probably
And
a
Mastermind
warlock.
Rogue with a lot of access to magical items. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. How would you class out Dorian Gray?
As a noble with no class levels.
It's a really powerful
Anyway.
magic item. But yeah, when last we left off, the group had managed to escape the grip of a illithid-infested dragon corpse by opening the box, the big box, the scary box, full of the magic Hellblade. And in so doing, sending out a signal that drew the largest, most terrifying-looking dragon that they had ever seen, and that is probably one of the oldest ever to have been encountered, as it was recognized by the orcish captain of the ship as literally a figure from orcish history, the ancient Entropius, the Void Maw, one of the first dragons encountered in recorded galactic history. As it tore through the illithid-infested dragon, looking for the sword that the Cambion in the group had tricked the dragon into thinking was inside the corpse. The group managed to pull out under impulse power, and by the time they were out of visual range, the Cambion managed to close the box and stop channeling. And there were some tense arguments about whether or not that was a plan that should have been talked about more before being undertaken. And it might be the minor headache, but I cannot think of the exact moment we left off.
We left off with Kendall telling Till that maybe he should go ask the adults about what happened.
Basically.
Yes, that was
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So you pick up there. What you doing, Till?
Till's kind of looking at the closed door. And then, yeah, is going to go wander off and see who he can find that fits a qualified definition of adult on this ship.
I mean, the captain is the easiest to find, but
Yeah, given that this was something along the lines of, I think Kendall had mentioned the sword, he's guessing that the captain was probably not involved in whatever happened. So he's looking for members of the group / maybe Jasira.
well, you know where Jasira's at all times. And you can probably find at least a couple members of the group there too.
Okay, yeah, he'll head off towards that location then and see what he encounters on the way, if anything.
I believe that Koltarn and Varouche are still down there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you enter the cargo bay, and Koltarn, Varouche, and Jasira are all still there.
Okay, and at this point, the casket is resealed with the sword inside, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, what the fuck's going on? / happened?
In which capacity of what the fuck? Because there were several different kinds of what the fucks that happened.
Yes, well, the last time I saw everybody but Jasira, we were murdering illithids in a hallway. And then there was a very large dragon, which I assume had something to do with a sword.
Yes. So, the illithids were intending to awaken the dragon corpse as a host for
I
the
caught
brain,
those
which
notes.
we had mentioned previously. Coming up with alternatives, while everyone was sort of still staring at the dragon, I came down here to speak with, what's the Cambion's name again?
Jasira?
Jasira, to ask about their any particulars about their known enemies. One of their primary enemies in the galaxy are fiends. I suggested we might be able to use this sword to scare them off, or at least deal with the dragon if they manage to deal with the dragon before they manage to awaken it as a massive psionic demigod that would melt our brains from a distance. And in doing so, we learned that my theory that the dragon that had attacked the Void Elves was hunting the sword was accurate, because that dragon was apparently hunting the sword. Jasira used magic to make it seem as if the energies of the sword were coming from the Illithid's vessel, which is why it attacked the other dragon. And then once we were sufficiently far away, Jasira finished sealing it away.
And so we'll be looking to Jasira to confirm this report of events.
Who is still like laying spread eagle on the ground in what seems like exhaustion. She just kind of waves like that from the ground.
Which is why I did the explaining, because Jasira is tired.
Yeah.
Jet.
Varouge was, and wait, Varouge, were you in on this?
Not at the beginning.
When did you get in on this then?
After she had already begun unsealing it. Because it was a process.
Yes.
I would. Yeah.
That once started was worse if it stopped.
Look, I don't mean to marginalize anybody, but I feel like we're going to have to do something along the lines of getting everybody on the same page. At least those of us that are old enough to pay taxes.
Very probably.
Agreed.
All right. So sword out, dragon shows up.
Very quickly, it turns out.
Luckily attacks. All right. Luckily
Luck,
attacked
I
you,
did
and
that. Jasira says from the ground.
Yes, as I said, Jasira redirected the
was
energies of the blade.
was that a simple process that is reliable and easy to replicate any other time that this should happen, or is there a chance of failure?
It's not easy, and it takes a lot out of me, but it's. Are you familiar with illusion magic at all?
I'm familiar with the existence of illusion magic.
It's kind of like that.
All right. Bouncing a
sort
signal off of something so that it looks like it's coming from somewhere else, kind of thing.
Kind of, yeah.
All right.
But magic.
Right. And some things are perceptive enough to see through illusions, right?
Yes, but from what I can gather, it was just.
I'm not trying to criticize your decision-making process or anything on that. I'm all right. Yep. Nope. This desperate times, desperate measures, etc., etc., etc.
Precisely.
Nah. Okay. We need to sit down and talk and figure out who trusts who and how we can get to the point where we're okay with people making decisions in the moment without sitting down and having a meeting every time.
Yes, I take it then that you've passed Kendall.
She's having a moment and processing, I think.
I'm slightly confused because she did explicitly not want to be a part of the Dust Knights group, but I think I
yes, but that's
general.
There's affiliation on paperwork, and then there's people making decisions that will have consequences irrespective of paperwork.
Fair enough. I just didn't feel comfortable waiting for an argument.
Well, and yes, we're getting, tentacled by a Illithid dragon corpse thing, there's definitely a case to be made for making decisions in the moment because we don't really have time for a referendum. But that's not there. There's also the impact of doing so in a way that brings a dragon of mass destruction out of the ether. So
Yes, I wasn't expecting it to be that quick.
fair. And that's probably not going to sound reassuring to people who think you made the wrong choice.
Sword
You
is
think so?
calling whenever it's loose. Just hear a sense from the floor.
At least
How
now we
did
know where it's
how,
going.
right, yes. And does that also raise the implication that this sword casket was probably opened by the void elves?
It might have been. There's also the opportunity that it might just have found them. I think if the void elves are as nomadic as they say, it's more likely that someone opened the casket and that's how the dragon found.
Right. So that you're not the only one that can open this then.
It takes a lot of knowledge and mystical skill. I won't say power because most of the power comes from the sword when you're using it. You have to know what you're doing.
Right. You don't have to be strong to open a combination lock, but you do have to know the combination.
Yes.
All right, then. Well, I hope that this was kind of a one-off and that this isn't going to be our default solution anytime we bite off more than we can chew.
I never want to open that casket again if I can.
I would
Yes.
prefer not to as well.
If there was any other option, I would have taken it.
No, that's... You made a decision based on the information you had at the time.
Well, let's hope we don't have to get away from another nearly sapient demigod that wants to eat us.
It's not there. But to be fair, we didn't actually bite off more than we can chew. We just kind of popped up somewhere that was not where we could chew.
All right.
We arrived with the dinner already set.
Right. It
We
was
had
somebody
eaten on
else's
the
dinner.
way.
We didn't even know it.
Till
Yeah,
just
we-
pulls out his little pocket notebook and starts writing down a couple more lines of agenda stuff and closes that back up. All right. Well, we're like a day and a half from Severinus by calculations, I think. So,
Yes, hopefully that dragon doesn't get curious about the small vessel that was flying away.
I mean, have we jumped or we haven't jumped yet?
You have
We
not
can't-
jumped yet.
We can't
You can't
jump
jump.
until
You can't
tomorrow.
jump until the engine cools down.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't jump till tomorrow.
All right. But we got far enough away from the dragon that we don't think it's actively pursuing us at the moment, right?
Yeah, the Jasira waited until you were out of visual range to seal the casket.
Okay. Cool.
Which means that while it was focused on hunting through the Illithid's corpse and hopefully not paying attention to the direction the small fleck of a ship fled off in,
Right.
that if it wanted to try and chase you, it would have to pick a random direction in an entire sphere of directions.
Right. Exactly. Okay.
But yes, best to
All
keep an eye
right.
open until we can jump again.
All right. I'm gonna go look at scanners then.
We're to stay here and work on this. So it's gesturing towards the
Dust runner.
Dust runner.
I believe I also just cast alarm on this, so I'm just going to go to the armory and start doing like weapon maintenance.
And Till will send a message to Kendall's basically. When would be good for a meeting for you? And then just
Um,
wait for any response whenever that comes through.
meeting question mark, question mark, question mark, confused face emoji.
Group meeting to clear up communication avenues.
There might be a little bit of a delay in that.
Okay. That's fine. He's going to go get on scanners and just keep a paranoid eye out on the sphere of space around the Volkir.
I am absolutely enraptured, by the way, in imagining what the emoji menu looks like in a universe with this many sentient races.
Right?
Weirdly,
Oh
it's
my
just as
God.
limited as it is in real life.
They're all
That's it, no-
goblin. They're all goblin faces instead of like the generic.
Yeah,
Human face. Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
But
just
but
multicolored goblin faces.
or it's like every single sentient race, but weirdly they're still all Caucasian.
Like with the goblins being sort of the pioneers of like interconnecting the galaxy with their technology, I definitely imagine that the standard emoji set is based off of them.
Yeah, I
That
like
makes
that.
sense.
Yeah, and everyone's running around with their new G Phone 12s and
Kendall has all the like, paid for emojis.
Yeah, I definitely think like any species that has like any amount of social media presence, like someone has made a custom like an official emoji pack for each individual species.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure Kendall has an emoji pack that is just Kendall.
It's just
Kendall,
Kendall. Yeah.
That's specially designed.
It's like, oh, did you get the new memojis? It's like, yeah, except they're not me for anyone other than Kendall.
Right.
They come installed for everyone, but memojis are just all Kendall's faces on everyone's
Yep.
phone.
I like to think that like every time Kindle sends an emoji to certain members of the party, it just comes up as an empty square because they don't have that emoji set loaded.
Yeah. Does Kendall have like a Fairchild Galaxy or like? Does your company make cell phones? I guess we don't know that.
Probably not. I
Okay.
would imagine.
I believe the front face of the company is like shipping and logistics and
It's like shipping and
shipbuilding.
logistics, exports. They have contracts with military. That's where the weapons trade comes in. But I don't think
consumer electronics not really your thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they use the first instance of mobile phones was in warfare, so
You're not wrong.
I am
But
admittedly
not consumer
cheating.
level.
Yeah, I'm cheating by asking out of character, but that's because I'm playing a character who would never ask in character.
Oh,
so.
legit.
So yeah.
So I assume there's nothing on scanners that's catching Till's attention currently.
Yeah, you're currently in the middle of empty space.
Right. That's the best news he could possibly hear right now.
You're currently in the middle of nowhere. Yay!
Thank fucking God.
The navigator.
I mean, considering where we jumped was a fucking illithid dragon. Yes, thank God.
Yeah, the dice roll was like, well, do you run into anything bad? Roll. Okay, you do. You very much do.
So yeah, he's just gonna be on scanners until Kendall gets back to him then.
Yeah, the navigator mentions that we can't really alter our course too terribly much without throwing off our void jump chart. So, and unless anyone has any Autumnal on them, we're not going to be able to correct that. So,
There will be probably after about 15, 20 minutes, there will just be a whenever.
What sort of schedule does this ship run on in terms of the crew that came with it?
The Orcish crew operates on very like highly, much like Orcish society, a highly regimented schedule.
Okay.
That is operating in very precise shifts.
All right.
Like the half of the crew that is necessary to maintain has a second copy of other crew members that will step into their shift when they need to step off the shift and keep it going.
Till's gonna go look for basically the hour when the galley is likely to be the least in use and occupied.
In the middle of one of the shifts.
Okay. So whenever that next block is on the schedule, and then anybody who's got a comm basically gets a group meeting in galley at this time, boop. And then if scanners are clear, he'll go and verbally give that message to everybody who doesn't have a comm unit, which I think is
Mistle
and Bees Mistle. And does Gideon have one right now?
Yeah, Gideon got one in the hideout.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then just go let Mistle and Bees know we're gonna have a get together to talk about some things at this time. Please be there if you're feeling up to it.
And William, we confirmed when we're not in sort of combat readiness, as long as bees are in the ship, they can be out of their armor.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So just a large size chunk of the bees will come down.
What does a large size chunk of the bees out of armor look like? Are they just kind of dispersed?
Yeah, I mean, they're sort of swarming around and they will spin around as they move. So it's sort of this amorphous, roughly circular group of bees. And then when they come into the room, they will settle over an area. If there's an empty chair, they will settle on that. If not, they'll just spread across some of the counters. They won't be on the floor, but they'll be on a surface. They're not constantly flying if they are in a resting state.
Okay.
There is one chair that is serving as the habitat for the bees right now.
Yeah.
Gideon comes when it's time.
Yeah. Both Koltarn and Skirtobar will be there.
Bruce will be there.
Mistle will be there.
Yep.
Mistle will fly in and sit on Till's shoulder.
Your Kendall
Okay.
shows up in her PJs.
Excellent.
What do they look like?
That's a good question.
Very comfortable, very high end PJs. But yeah, definitely made more for comfort than fashion.
Any particular aesthetic or
I mean, pink. I'm
just like bright pink?
Yeah. No, soft pink.
Soft pink.
Yeah.
Mistle is like all of a sudden petting, I almost called you Esty, petting Kendall. Sorry, too
That's
many
okay.
character names.
Because neither of them would mind.
Right.
I swear, my mind just went Esty, Nina, Adele. Too many characters.
I mean, at least you immediately went to the other one that is in a space game, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Mistle will just, without saying anything, fly over and just like start petting her
Cool.
PJs.
So Kendall comes in her best Elle Woods, basically.
Yes, absolutely. I'm not going to say that I didn't also watch both of those movies before I made this character.
Solid choice.
Because I don't have to.
Right.
Right.
All right. So I figured we'd better have a talk to at least get some guidelines down, because we've had some things happen that were.
Did you invite Jasira to this, or is she being left to guard the box, as is her usual habit?
That's actually a good question. I'm make a roll. Jasira got invited. Yes.
She will show up.
Okay. We had some things happen.
One of her eyes is like has this like arcane blue glow off of it, and it's just like the eye is shut, and there's just like this arcane sigil over the front of it.
Oh,
which, if you ask, is she's keeping an arcane eye on the box.
Okay, fair.
At all times.
Yep. We had some less than we had some unorthodox circumstances and choices.
I didn't do it. It's not my fault. You can't prove it. I want a lawyer.
Not you.
Sorry.
Where would you get a lawyer at this time?
Good response, though, Jasira says.
Oh, I can get us a lawyer.
We're a lawyer.
See?
No, you're not, Bees.
It could be.
Not yet, you couldn't.
Okay.
But we had some unorthodox things happen, and decisions and choices were made, and everybody's alive, which is a good thing. But we probably want to establish expectations going forward so that nobody's taken by surprise or has their expectations violated, whether or not they were stated beforehand. So if anybody's not okay with having that sort of conversation, there's the door. And he waits.
There is the loud sound of a cup being a straw being through.
And a chair creaking as Roosh leans back.
Pencil
Jill.
scratching as Coltarn's taking
Bees.
notes.
We know what you're talking about, but maybe other people don't.
That's true. We should probably make that clear.
And you should tell those other people that don't know.
Okay. So when an emergency happens, how many of you feel comfortable with people making decisions to try and handle an emergency without consulting everybody else in our group?
Gideon's hand shoots up immediately.
Coltar's hand goes up.
Yeah.
Mistel's hand goes half up.
All right. Is there anybody in this room currently? I assume it's just us and Jasira in the room.
Mhm.
Is there
One
anybody?
crew member.
Right? Yeah. It's like, oh, am I part of this group now? Is there anybody who you would feel less confident if they started making calls that way? Or is there anybody here who you feel like should definitely check in with everybody or an appointed representative before making any decisions that way?
I mean,
Gideon, your hand was up first. Let's start with you.
if I'm being honest, I would say it's pretty fair to say me, Mistel, and Bees shouldn't be making these decisions. So,
What?
I don't know. I'd agree with that,
okay.
depending on the situation.
We were the only three I thought should make decisions without asking other people.
No. I mean, okay. So, I think what I'm saying is I think we've done enough. We've had enough instances where our judgment has come into question and it's blown up. And I just think we're past the point where avoiding that is, what's the word I'm looking for? Optional. I don't think you guys trust our judgment enough. I'll just say it plainly.
I mean,
And
so here's the thing, though. Like, we're all good at different things. I don't think that's that goes kind of without saying, but I said it anyway, so there you go.
Agreed.
So for example, if there was a mechanical or a technical problem, or some kind of brokey fixy thing problem,
That would be cold turn easily.
that would be cold turn, absolutely. If there was a problem with dealing with authorities, I would say Varouche. That's the
How did I know
thing.
How did I know that Kendall was just staring at Baruch, trying to figure out what situation he would be useful?
What do we want
for?
him to do?
And whatever.
That
he
kind of
does.
was the way that it
Yeah.
worked out. But on the other hand, like if I came upon something on the ship that was broken and I thought it was a big emergency and it could lead to multiple people being put at risk in terms of health and safety, I wouldn't want to make that decision myself.
True.
So, and you guys are all good at individual things yourselves. I trust you with those decisions.
Well, I think that's our answer then. Like, it should be something where we should be honest with ourselves about whether or not we're the right person to make this decision. And if it's not, then we should pass it off. If we can. Obviously, there are situations where whoever's there has to make an executive decision, and that's just kind of what it is. Like, sort of what just happened.
All right. So in terms of what just happened, the ship was in peril, and Koltarn elected to have Jasira open the box with the sword in because of information he had that felt like that was the most efficient and probably most effective means of at least getting us out of the most immediate peril.
Hell, I'm not going to lie. I don't know that I would have done it, but I certainly don't know that I wouldn't have.
All right.
I mean, you saw what those things were. You heard what you told us they were and what they could do, what they would do.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I don't know that considering how long it took her to do it, I don't know that we would have had enough time to hit the oh shit button if we ended up in an oh shit situation. I think Koltarn made the right call. I mean, it's really scary that that's the call that he made, and it's even more scary that this is the result we have, but I don't know that I would admonish him for the decision that he made.
Good word. That's a good word, Gideon.
Thanks, Beast.
All right. Does anyone have any concerns or confidence issues in the aftermath of that, or points that they need to bring up that they would like to have addressed before we potentially end up in another situation that requires another such decision to be made?
We don't want anyone touching the sword.
Okay. So, Bees, if we ended up in this situation, do you think Koltarn should not make that decision again?
No, we don't. We don't think anyone should touch the sword. And we certainly don't think anyone should touch the sword or make decisions about it unless we all talk about it.
If they hadn't have done that, we would have all died.
Well, actually, turns out we were fine, but we didn't know that we were fine. He didn't know that we were fine when he told her to do it.
What do you
Well-
mean? Turns out we were fine.
We-
The dragon.
Oh, yeah,
was
that's right.
The dragon was
We
alive.
did still have the dragon to deal with, so that's a good point.
Yeah.
I didn't think
It
about
started talking
Yeah.
to us.
that. We
in
got
our
the things off the ship was the
brains.
point I was making. I forgot about the the dragon. That's a really good point. So
the things
yeah.
that you all killed were a scouting party.
Right. Yeah. I was thinking the scouting party was the entirety of the issue, and it was actually a small fragment of the issue. That's where that statement came from. But you're right.
Wouldn't have said to open the sword up if it was just a scouting party of illithids. It was mostly.
Well, I wasn't convinced we were going to be able to take them, to be honest with you.
It was mostly the illithid infested dragon that I was concerned about.
Valid point.
I think it worked out in our favor, but yes, it's just that with what Till said earlier, that can't be our go-to if we're in a bad situation. We need to try to figure it out before pulling that ripcord.
Certainly.
But
yeah.
Also,
but I also think that I'm sorry. Go ahead.
As much as I can't believe I'm saying this, I believe that was the right call to open the box, given the circumstances.
Well, yeah, because it's not something we elected to go into. We just jumped, and then where we ended up doing the jump was right in front of that. Like, what the hell else were we gonna do?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I
Mr.
would
John.
say I trust the decision not because Colturn made it, but because Jasira agreed with it and did it, because I would think Jasira, of all of us, would be the expert on that.
That's why
None
I
of us
consulted
are,
with-
but Jasira is the expert on.
That's why I consulted with Jasira,
Mm-hmm.
because Jasira is the expert.
My concern is that, okay, like when I asked after if you would make a call completely without consulting other people in a situation, you said, yes, I did, because you're all incapable of coming to an agreement on things, basically.
Am I wrong?
Yes.
I look at the rest of the group.
I mean, I'd like to point out we have spent a significant amount of time discussing things that we really didn't have time to discuss. I
Right.
think he's got a point.
Right. But
Maybe
this was a matter of something where our lives and potentially the entire universe was at stake. Like, this is a stake situation.
Which is obviously the point where we should stop and take our time.
Which is the point when we could when I would think there would be the trust in us to come to a decision without a lot of debating about it as a group.
Fair. I would also think that being in the middle of a bandit lair with active hostiles around would be a point where we could make decisions without having to worry about people setting off traps or running away from the group and getting separated and various other things. And yet,
I think we've learned our lesson there.
those are all real different than the sword.
Uh-huh.
they are.
Also true.
Those other things can happen, and sometimes things die, sometimes other things eat things, sometimes things get eaten, and that's what happens. But the sword is a lot more than that. We could live or we could die, but when we get the sword involved, that's a lot bigger than just us living or dying.
Why does that thing freak you out so much, Beast?
We don't like it. We don't like what it showed us. We don't like how it feels.
I guess that's fair.
There's worse things than dying, Gideon.
I guess so. I guess I never thought of it that way.
Well, you've never died before. Some of us die all the time. We get lots of chances, and we understand that you don't get as many chances as us, and there aren't as many of you as there are of us, but still, there's one of you, and we think you're great, but that sword is different.
Fair.
So what I'm hearing, and feel free to jump in and correct me if I'm wrong, is
We will.
that thank you, Beats. Is that we as a group are learning how each other functions, and we've had some hitches in our processes up until this point. But we've got a day and a half before we end up at our next location that will have its own problems and obstacles. Personally, I think we should take that time that we have and figure out how we want to proceed going forward, so that those sort of problems that we've had up until this point will hopefully be compensated for.
I'm really mad I didn't buy power armor before we left that last city.
You made enough materials, I can make you some.
Yeah, if that's a thing that can happen. Where am I going to get materials for power armor, dude?
There's materials all over the place. Bees start yanking on one of the
I
kitchen
sort of
cabinets.
I sort of reach up and like sort of just adjust the augmented, like magically augmented like shoulder piece that's connected down to my gauntlets that I'm wearing. The same place I got this.
At which point,
Good to know.
Jasira says, "Bees, I don't think the crew would appreciate you taking their ship apart."
Oh, B, stop that.
Okay.
It would sort of be like if someone decided they wanted to take your hive apart for materials.
No, it wouldn't.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Okay, we won't. And one of the bees, a single bee really close to one of Gideon's, I guess, does Gideon have ears?
Yes.
Birds have ears.
Well, I don't know. This is an alien bird person. I don't know for sure.
It's a valid question.
You might hear through your elbows. I figured I'd ask.
I forget how birds' ears work. I'm pretty certain they're just kind of like
they're holes in the skull, basically.
Yeah.
holes inside of the head.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, one single bee very close to Gideon's skull hole says wink.
B, seriously, stop taking this.
Okay.
On the subject of deferring to expertise, though, Jasira says, I feel like I should point out that you're going to run into situations where none of you are experts at the subject. For instance, I'm fairly certain no one here, including myself, is a scholar of the arcane.
I
know
dabble.
some things.
Arcane?
Magic.
Wizard magic.
Oh, I thought Coltarn did that.
A little.
He dabbles, as he said, but I wouldn't call him a scholar.
I know
know
enough to
some
recognize
things.
the bad stuff.
So you don't have to be a scholar to melt people? Holy shit, that's scary.
Right?
That's also not really what I trained for either.
So
My point
really
being is
good to know and
there are
not
going to
less
be
scary.
areas. My point being, there are going to be areas where you're not going to be able to defer to the expert.
Right, but you don't have to know everything about something to, be more knowledgeable than perhaps everybody else. And if there's something that literally everybody knows nothing about, we're gonna have to talk it over. I think.
Or maybe at least get a second opinion if that's all you have time to do.
Right.
All right.
Like,
So-
yeah, none of us are arcane magic experts, but Colturn knows some things. I know some things. Some of y'all probably know something about it.
I know it goes boom and melts people.
And if it's something related to going boom and melting people, maybe you'll know enough.
Nah,
Well-
but I'll totally pass that off.
Fair enough. Works for me.
So when it comes to mechanics and fixing things, obviously Coltarn is our go-to. I'm probably our second. When it comes to magic and the various aspects of that, Miss Fairchild and Coltarn are experts on that. When it comes to bypassing security and those sort of things, Gideon and Mistel are our go-tos for that sort of thing. When it comes to flying a ship, I think I'm the only one who knows how to do that.
I know how to fly a ship.
Let me check and see. I don't know.
Since when?
Gideon always knows.
I mean,
Gideon
not
hadn't
always.
even been off planet
Gideon,
since about 2 weeks ago.
I picked up some things. All right.
All right. Well, good. Then you and I are going to be the go-tos on that sort of thing.
and us. Gideon and us fly together all the time.
Mr. will fly over and whisper in Till's ear, "You left out Varouche."
I also left out bees.
Right.
We're getting
No,
there.
we fly the ship.
No, you don't.
You don't fly the ship.
Oh.
But when it comes to field processes, when we're on missions and things, we need to figure out when we don't have an expert on something, who do we trust to just honestly have common sense and make good choices?
I vote for Colturn.
All right. We have a nominee for Coltarn on that. Does anyone second? And more importantly, does anyone veto?
I have people I think would be better. I'm not going to veto anyone.
All right. So you're not going to veto, but you're not going to second. Well, do you have a nomination then, Ms.
Rich.
Fairchild? All right.
That was mine.
Do we want to have a descending order then? For instance, all right, actually, here. What we're going to do, and Till starts pulling pages out of his
Everybody
little
loves
notebook.
graphics.
Right? Yep. No. He's handing everybody a blank piece of paper.
Welcome to the thrilling D&D exploits of
Elections.
Right.
election integrity.
Right?
You're choosing your class rep. Have fun.
Right? No.
I
In
would like
terms-
to
in-
officially view the fact that we're holding an election on this episode as
On today, yeah.
of the anniversary of certain events.
Don't make me want to like throw the whole thing into chaos, Jeremy. Come on.
No, we're not. No, we're doing it right because that's what you do in an election.
Right.
Well, okay. To be fair, I just want to say, since that's brought up, my actions will be entirely in
Oh,
character.
100%.
not
Oh, yeah.
commentaries.
Yep.
You are
They're not a
bees.
commentary.
No, nobody expects any different from bees at this point.
Okay.
Craig.
Right.
We
Well,
all know what
basically-
they're gonna do.
Till
And
hands everybody a blank piece of paper and basically
making the
says,
comparison to bees just makes it better.
right?
Right.
Right?
And basically says,
'Cause it's a
in
sword.
descending order, put your first 3 choices down for who you think should basically be our go-to decision maker, de facto leader in charge person.
Waiting for bees to put bees.
Waiting.
Do you hand a sheet to Jasira?
Yes.
Waiting. The paper gets handed to bees, and then it just hear it shredded as there's now thousands of votes that are going to be pulling out.
With the implication and instruction that everybody gets to fill out 3 choices. B's, you get to have 3 choices only. As a collective, you get to say my first choice, my second choice, my third choice, and they have to be different people.
Where do we put the votes?
You write them down on the paper, and then
Okay.
you fold it closed, and
Okay.
you put it back in the pile.
In the pile. Okay. Where's the pile?
Who are we
He'll sort
sending who are we whispering our votes to?
Me, I guess.
Okay,
Oh, we're whispering them? Okay.
I am,
Yeah.
because it's funnier that way.
Yeah, we're doing secret ballot.
Always forget how to whisper.
/W.
Slash
Thank
W.
And then
William.
space, and then William, I think. Yeah. in
And
this
it'll
case.
give you
Okay,
an,
yeah,
it'll give you an
I got it.
autofill for the name
Yeah.
once you start typing one. Thrill as we do secret ballot. Thrill as
This
bees
is the most
sleights of
D&D thing.
hands.
Right?
I mean, I'm not sure if it's the most D&D thing, but it is definitely the most Final Show Films thing. Uh-oh.
I can't
just am-
wait to see
I-
what
Bede's vote
nonsense
came
Bede-
in.
Oh, afraid.
No, it wasn't me yet. I haven't sent it yet.
Secret ballot, Till.
I put down numbers, and then it just
Okay.
didn't send.
Oh, you
anything.
can't
So
you can't
you
break
can't put
lines.
down
It'll send it.
numbers apparently, or break lines. So
No,
anyway,
No, you
can't
can't
break
do
lines,
break
Wilson.
lines. If
Oh,
you,
you
if you
can't
do
do
it all
break
as
lines?
one, then it
Okay.
works.
well, anyway, Till's votes in, and I'll be right back anyway. So
I mean, let's be honest.
vamp.
Till's vote is probably going to be the least controversial. of
Right,
all of
yeah.
these.
Obviously, Till's vote's going to be the tiebreaker.
I don't know. I'm guessing some weird shit's going to come in.
Are you
Sierra is
guessing
now the
because you're
lead.
sending the weird shit in?
First of all, I'm not sending. I already sent.
Because you sent the weird shit in?
Second of all, I don't have to tell you. That's my right.
That is my right as a citizen.
I'm waiting for Tollbar to win.
I debated.
I should have put Tollbar.
Listen, Kendall debated some
Wait.
really off the wall opportunities. But
That's a question. Does Till we need to know if Till handed Tollbar a piece of paper.
I'm going.
I'm going to assume not.
I don't know. I don't know how Till. I don't know what Till considers an AI to be. Tollbar has a response if he does get it. If he does get handed a piece of paper, and fair warning, it's not a vote. But I need Jack to get back here so he can tell us.
Oh, I didn't realize I was supposed to whisper in roll 20. I sent it in
I mean, that works too.
Zoom.
Oh, yeah,
However
it works.
you-
As long as I get the message.
And no one else does.
Jack.
Once Jack returns, we can ask him a question. But we gotta wait.
William, do you want me to roll it again? It's in roll 20. It just wasn't a whispered roll.
Oh, okay.
It's the one right above.
Yeah, I
Till's
see it.
Vote. Okay.
As Bees tries to rig the election.
How long would it take for Coltarn to put a seal on my armor?
Not very long.
Okay.
Let me look up some mechanics.
Because that's probably something he should have done with his ceramic armor.
Jack, did you hand Skir Tolbar a piece of paper?
Oh, that's a very good question. If he gave one to Jasiri, he probably gave one to Tolbar, since Tolbar's kind of put himself forward as an actual entity now. So yeah.
So
Well,
upon
that seems unfair.
upon
If-
receiving the piece of paper, Skir Tolbar would look at it and then hand it back. I feel that while I appreciate the vote of confidence in my sentience, my source of origin would cast doubt on the sincerity of my opinions.
So you're abstaining.
Yes.
That's a valid choice, sir. Yeah, no, Till's not gonna like be pushy about it. He's not gonna Karen Tolbar into the HOA.
That's my way of. That's why I may have not. That's my way of not mechanically getting 2 votes, because I feel like. I also feel like it makes sense for that to be Skier's analysis
It does.
of the situation.
Yeah.
It's like,
Sure.
if there's anybody that disagrees, because Skier's like, if there's anybody that disagrees with my opinions, they will assume that Coltarn programmed me to make those decisions. So I will not make a decision.
That's fair.
But mechanically using the regular armor upgrade rules, you could put a vacuum seal on a suit of non-sealed armor in a day or 2.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Yes, it will take me a day or so, providing that we had the materials.
All right then. Something to pick up next time we're on a station.
I could potentially fabricate it from whatever we can find on Severnus. I'm used to fabricating more advanced technology from less advanced materials.
Good land.
I mean, that is how innovation generally proceeds.
And this would be a good opportunity to go over the armor upgrade rules at some point too, because that's irrelevant. The weapon and armor upgrade rules that are baseline rather than included with the crafting classes. But anyway, to tally up the votes, well, I will say because they're in descending order of importance, I'm actually just going to read the votes off. So the papers come up in order. There is one comes up, Varush, Till, Mistel. Jack, I hope you're keeping notes.
Sure.
You're the one that's collecting them in game.
Okay. We'll say that's a fact as well then.
I mean,
You
who else
organize
is?
this. Take responsibility.
Sure, I can do that. All right, so there's one.
And one comes up, Varush, Coltarn, Till.
Is that one mine?
Another one comes up, Varush,
Okay.
Coltarn, Till. Another one comes up, Varush, Coltarn, Till. One comes up, Varush, Till, Gideon.
Okay.
One comes up, Varush, Coltarn, Jasira.
All right.
And then the last one, you go to open it, and about 24 torch bees just pop out of it and yell, "We win!" And there's just a picture of 3 bees on the inside of the paper.
Okay.
Well, that was pretty definitive.
All right. Well, based on my calculations and analysis, we're going to default to Varush and then Coltarn as our number 1 and number 2.
Hey,
That's how math works, Bees.
no, it's not.
Yes, it is, because I know
There
a
were-
lot more math than you do.
There were lots of us in there.
Yep, but that's not how it works.
Oh,
Oh, that was actually fairly simple and quick. Proud of all of us.
See, we can make decisions.
Absolutely. Now,
I am
Bees,
quite happy to be.
I have a
proven
very
wrong in this
important
particular
job for you.
instance.
the bees sort of the 2 dozen that were in the envelope fly back to the rest, and they all sort of turn and look at you.
And he gathers up the pile of ballots and just kind of shoves them over to him. Incorporate that into your hive structure, however is most easily. Yeah.
Okay, the bees immediately start just masticating the
Right.
scraps and turning it into sort of like essentially like nasty gray spitballs, and
Right.
some of them start flying them back off to the observation area.
Wondrous. I love that bees is sort of the version of having the dog clean up all the crumbs off the floor.
Oh, and there 100% is a cocooned and in the process of being drained and devoured intellect devourer in the observation deck now.
Fantastic. Forgot about that. Gross.
Yeah.
A little bit, lot bit.
I also want to point out
Thankfully,
that
there is both a starboard and port observation deck, so there is one that bees have not taken over.
I want to point out the amusement and the sort of like narrative irony of Farouche being voted to be the primary like number one person on the list, considering that the first reaction to Farouche from 2 or 3 of the characters in the party was cop, run away.
Yeah.
Or cop, try and kill it.
That too.
Yeah, I legitimately attempted to attack Farouche in like that second session, or first session, or whatever that was.
Yeah.
I missed, but so Verse doesn't know that, but
Uh,
It is. I'm quite happy to be proven wrong in this particular instance.
Well, you know, people grow and change.
and I appreciate everybody voting me into responsibility.
Seems a logical choice.
Oh, is this a victory speech?
No, it's
Sounded
just
like
me, it's acknowledging that you voted for me. Thank
No,
you.
go on, give your speech.
That's it.
Gotta give more than that.
It was one sentence.
A man, a few words. I like it.
Not a man.
Not a girl,
Well.
not a robot.
Elephant.
Elephant, a few words.
All right. Well, that's my job done. And Till goes and
Organizing
finds
elections is your job.
So that'd make you the secretary, Till.
I'm not in charge. And he goes and finds a drink.
God,
A sentence-
could you,
a
John,
sentence
John,
Jack
John
lives
and
for.
Holly. John and Holly, could you imagine organizing adventuring guilds like theater companies?
Yes. How do you think the Adventurers Guilds in Grand Terra are organized?
How do you think the Everyone is Bards game is basically going to run?
So who's our group secretary? Who's our
No.
who's directing the show?
No.
I was gonna make a joke that I was gonna make Bees the Secretary of Violence.
Like,
Who's our treasurer?
listen, there is
Coltarn,
enough
obviously.
drama in setting up a guild as it is. You don't need to add the theater kid aspect into it.
Aren't adventurers just what theater kids would be in a world without theater?
Yes, because we're all played by theater kids.
Also that.
Also, in a world with theater, if we had the option to be adventurers, a lot of theater kids would be adventurers.
Absolutely.
Theater is an adventure.
Like, if you told me I could be trained to be a wizard and go out and do like blow shit up with fire hands, hell yes, I would fucking take that job.
100%.
I would like to go blow shit up with fire hands, please. Elective wisdom. Imagine getting the Wizard 101 elective. Like,
Right?
I have to choose. It's like you have to choose at least one adventurer class for your senior year, or you can't graduate. So it's like, do I take Wizard or Barbarian 101? Like, decisions have to be
No,
made
just be a
now.
bard. They just play music, right?
Yeah.
sorcerer.
Abjuration for poets.
I would like to take a class. I would like to take an elective of at least 1 credit in fucking privilege.
They don't teach that class, unfortunately.
Right.
Like sex ed, it doesn't exist. That's why there are so many sorcerers.
All right, we need to get back to the plot before this
back to the
devolves
game.
really bad.
Right.
Oh god. Anyway.
That's why bards are constantly trying to sleep with everything. There's no adequate sexual education for adventurers. They don't know what's good. They just try everything. We've cracked the code.
Anyway, do you adjourn the meeting?
I mean, Till gets up, walks away, and finds a drink. I feel like that's about as adjourned as things get.
Yeah, Varouche said thanks and then left too. So
Jasira head as soon as there was the first sign of people being allowed to leave, Jasira's heading back to the box.
There are the sounds of a mostly empty cup what's left being sucked through the straw, and that sort of sputtering sound as pajamaed Kendall heads back to her room.
That's so weird. That's the same sound that's coming from the observation deck from the intellect hour.
Don't make it gross.
Too late.
not gross, it's nature.
Nature is
Mr.
gross.
Nature is fucking gross. I
Mr.
love it. It's gross.
Just look at the manganiel tree.
Mr.
All right,
Watts,
well.
get a drink.
Good talk.
Are they alcoholic?
Well done, team.
It's a galley.
There are some alcoholic drinks here. You're gonna try and drink orcish alcohol?
Sure.
What would we do with the drunken Mistle? What would we do with the drunken
I
Mistle?
watch Till and Mistle head towards the orcish alcohol and begin brewing an antidote. Gideon, can you hold this for me? It's just sort of like handing
totally.
me things while I'm brewing things. We're going
Just
to need a lot of this in a minute.
Random question, William. When Jasira hangs out by the box, how close does she get to the box?
She usually her usual position is like within a 30-foot radius of it, but not adjacent to it usually.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, because if she just gets like there's a 20-foot cube around the box because of alarm. So it's just gonna be like, okay, yeah, no, she's down there now. But if she doesn't get that close, then
I feel like she gets that close just to check on the runes, so you get that alarm signal that she
Okay.
passes through.
all right.
So you know she's back and watching it.
Okay. There's at least one person down there now. All right.
Does she have any place to sit down there?
The few times that you've been down there to see her, she's usually been like, whenever she's not been just standing or sitting on like a cargo crate, you've seen her hanging from the ceiling.
Okay. I'm gonna. Can I roll insight?
No, feet,
to
like
tell-
from her feet, like a bat.
Yeah. But can I roll insight to see if? Well, it's a 10. Does it look comfortable?
I mean, not to you.
Okay. Whenever we have time, not urgent, some of the bees will go down there.
So, Coltarn, I know you're working on that thing for Rouge, so I know we're probably not going to be able to do it before the next part of the mission. But how long do you think it'll take to make that power?
What do you want it to do?
Make it harder for me to get shot.
So you want a defensive armor as opposed to something that makes you physically stronger.
Precisely.
Let me plan something. He begins sort of brewing an antidote for the orc alcohol that Till and Mistle are about to imbibe with one hand and sketching out an idea with the other.
Yeah, so the two of you head over to get alcohol. So the point that I want to make here is that in terms of physiognomy, most orcs have 2 or 3 times the body mass of an average avian.
Mm-hmm.
And many, many, many times the body mass of an average Invaran. And so any alcohol that is designed to appeal to their natural tolerance, just based on physical size before you hit any like chemical-based natural tolerances, it's going to be very potent for anyone smaller than them. So I'm going to need both of you to make a con save.
Sure. 21.
18.
You know when to stop,
Yay!
which for Mistel is about a sip in.
It's going to. Does she though?
I mean, I feel like that's up to Mistel.
I'm trying. Where?
Correction. You have the choice to know when to stop.
Right.
She does not know when to stop.
You have the academic understanding of where your limits are,
I'm sure. she
whether or
does.
not you follow that.
Phil was not ever told that he gets a day off, so he's definitely going to make wise choices in his consumption of orcish alcohol.
Which for you is
know what I
about
just realized
half
that
of a shot glass.
I figured, probably.
I just realized that because I'm broadcasting the chat, the audience can see the whispers that go to and from me.
Probably.
Nice.
One would assume.
That's
Quick,
Yep.
everybody.
Quick, everybody, whisper horrible things to John.
Mistel's gonna keep going till she's
Okay.
down.
So half that drink later.
I was about to say,
If
like
even.
a shot glass is almost as big as you are. So
Oh yeah, yeah. She's just like head in.
Well,
Like a
that's
dog.
going to end well, but okay.
like by the first gulp, you're already buzzed. And
Yeah.
it only gets worse from there.
She will keep going until she passes out or gets sick at this point.
One probably immediately follows the other.
And that's what this is for, I say, finishing the antidote that I'm making.
Oh, also, I didn't state this, but in my vision, in my head, she is sitting on Till's shoulder while doing this.
Sure, that works.
Couldn't you have just
So
told them?
what?
Couldn't you have just told them that orcish alcohol is not good for them?
That wouldn't have stopped them.
Good point.
So when she vomits, it's probably on Till.
Yep, it probably is. But also, I mean, how big is Invaran-sized vomit?
Not a lot, not very.
Right.
It's a
At the
shot
moment,
glass
At
worth.
the moment, it's
Right.
a shot. Yeah, it's a shot glass.
Right.
or perhaps it is physics-defyingly large amount.
Yeah, it turns out Mistel is a bag of holding for vomit.
Like it comes out
Oh, I
at
want
the
that on a
level
shirt.
of like what a Goliath would vomit.
Holding of vomit.
This is the other way to fire all the Mistels.
We apologize to any emetophobes in our audience.
It's roughly at the answering of that question that Captain Zeph walks in, having stepped off of her shift for a minute, and like responds to the end of that. Very few alcohols are good for you. It's just a matter of people drink for other reasons than health.
Okay.
Ask you a question, Gideon. Are there any weight limitations? I say, indicating towards your wings.
Not that I mean, I've never really tried to carry a whole lot while flying, but I mean, I'm a pretty strong guy, so.
Well, there's a few things that I can put together for you, but it would take a while. Mostly the most limiting circumstance at the moment is finances. The parts for modifying armor into power armor versus creating it from scratch, depending on what you're looking for, is going to cost different amounts. This, he says, indicating to his armor, doesn't enhance my armor at all, but it enhances my strength. I'm gonna. Is there like the table that we're sort of sitting at? How big is it, William?
It's like a galley table. Like it's a big, long, rectangular thing.
Okay, do you think the armor of arcane might would allow me to lift it up?
Not like off the ground, but you could very easily just like lift one end
Like-
of it.
Yeah, like lift it in such a way that I very obviously couldn't do it without the armor.
Yeah, like this thing is heavy, but like lifting it off the ground is more a matter of bulk than weight.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm talking
it's
about
just
more
too
the weight. Yeah.
Yeah, but like you could very much just like lift the one side of it.
Yeah, it's like just one-handed with everything still on it. Lift. This armor enhances my physical capabilities, but doesn't increase the defensive that I have. Puts it back down. Versus something that's more defensive that you're looking for, which would incorporate shield technology or automated defenses. So whether or not your wings have a load-bearing limit would determine how defensive I could apply, or how defensive I could make it. So if we can determine that, then I can give you a better estimate of what I can build.
Cool.
And also,
Well, I guess I'll probably ask Tilt, like, how to figure that out, because I've never really had to. You know, I've carried like groceries while flying, but I've never carried rocks. So.
Yes. Have you ever carried anything that's the equivalent of your own body weight while flying?
I don't think so.
Because that would be heavy armor.
Yeah, no, I just want light armor.
He's also not proficient in heavy armor, which is explicitly a thing he cannot fly with.
So if you're looking for a lighter power armor, that I can do fairly easily, or at least less expensive than the heavy. Won't be as defensive, but
Yeah, that's fine. I just right now all I've got is, some slightly padded clothes. So
William, with the enhanced defense infusion, could I make that could that also, in addition to applying a +1 because it turns armor magical, could that make regular armor sealed? Or no? No. Okay.
Sealed is its own thing.
Okay.
Like you can enhance an armor's durability without providing an environment seal. And like not all magic armor is sealed.
Yeah, and so like the craftsman masterwork armor, I would have to then apply the sealed property to them separately, right?
Yeah, but your craftsman masterworks and your armor upgrades are separate fields that don't inhibit each other.
Yeah. Cool. So yes, it will take some time. I need to acquire the right materials, the right tools, familiarize myself with the more advanced power armors, but I could make you some. I don't know exactly. I can't give you an exact estimate, but it will be worth the wait.
Right on. Okay. Well, I guess we'll talk about it after our mission.
Yes. And I'll give you an estimated price range as soon as I've got a list fully prepared.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Certainly. I will then go over towards how hammered is Till by this point? Or did Till stop?
Oh, Till was drinking to relax, not drinking to any deleterious effect, shall we say. Yeah.
Hill was waiting for a buzz and then stopped.
Pretty much. So, yeah.
So I'll walk over to Till, holding out a small vial of purplish liquid. This will help with the effects, pointing towards Mistle, who's passed out on his shoulder.
Pat,
When
pat.
they come to.
Excellent. I'm sure she'll appreciate it. Thanks.
Captain Zeph Nash walks past the entire scene going on in here and walks over to a fridge, pulls out a massive tin containing a meal, pops it, sits down at a table and starts to eat.
Captain, how many more jumps do we have before we get to Savernus?
6.
So, day and a half.
Yep. Assuming you feel like continuing to supply our engines.
The faster we make this location behind us, the more comfortable I'll be.
Amen to that.
Yeah. I can see that reasoning.
Well, having delivered my antidote, I'm going to go back to the cargo bay and begin sketching out plans for a suit of power armor for Gideon.
Zeph Nash watches Coltarn leave and then looks over to Till. Where'd your friend come from? He's not like many orcs I've met.
Based on what I know, he grew up on a dwarvish weapons crafting station, something or other, which is apparently a thing.
Oh, yes, it definitely is. It makes sense. He's got more of the mannerisms of the long beards.
But yeah, so for whatever that's worth, he's done a good job with everything I've seen him put his hands to.
Oh, dwarves are meticulous and effective craftsmen, which makes sense with his current work. You can sense there is an underlying but that she's not elaborating on.
Unfortunately, she's come to the wrong person to try and dig that butt out. Yes, Jeremy, I saw that.
You were meant to. I'm just saying, are we not doing phrasing anymore?
Not at all.
what we're
Not with
saying
Till,
is-
anyway.
We
we're
should
saying is-
be.
What we're saying is Till doesn't eat ass, so.
Right.
Anyway,
Anything we should know going forward?
in regards to
Excellent.
okay. She's like, fucking birds.
And then,
I think he just wanted to make sure the sky wasn't falling because we would need to know about that.
Yep, but I don't have anything else for Till going forward unless something jumps out. So
Yeah, that. With that, yes, Jeremy's correct. That is a good place to take a break.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and take our break. If you're watching on Twitch, be sure to stay tuned for these commercial messages. And remember, when we take our break, you take your break. So stand up, stretch your legs, grab a drink, grab food, whatever you need to do. And we'll be back in just a few minutes. And we're back. A dinosaur story.
Anyway, bees, you had a thing.
Yes. So the bees will drift down towards the cargo. It's in a cargo bay.
Yeah.
Where the sword is. Okay. And Jasira is there, right?
Yep. As you look
What
around, she's hanging from the ceiling, just feet on the ceiling, and just looking at the box.
Is that comfortable?
I mean, as comfortable as standing anywhere else.
Are you gonna touch the sword again?
I didn't touch it the first time.
Are you gonna open the box again?
Not if I don't have to.
Are you gonna stay down here and watch the box?
That is generally what I'm going to do, yes.
Bees sort of float in the air for a little while, kind of milling around as far, probably barely even in through the door. And then they say, "Do you want something to sit on or lie on?"
I wouldn't say no to it.
Okay. They go away, and a little while later, more of them come back and will knit one of those non-sticky hammocks out of webbing and paper.
She lays down in it. That is nice, actually. That is very nice. Thank you.
Don't touch it.
Don't intend to.
Okay. They will.
You're not the only one who doesn't want that box tampered with.
That's good. They will leave.
With that, moving on to the next day.
Oh, thank God, hit points.
Yes, you all get a long rest. The ship makes its 2 more natural jumps, then I'm assuming Coltarn fuels it with a spell slot, and they make 2 more additional jumps. At this point, you are within... It's not like it's still 2 jumps away, which is still... What's the actual distance? It's about... Find my book reference. Engines. It's about 1,600-ish light years away. But that's enough that you can start to pick up signal from the rudimentary Galnet hook that has already been left there.
Because if there's one thing goblins like, it's a brand new opened market, right?
It was more like communication is the first way to, get
Link
people
somebody into
interacting.
the galactic theater, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll bite. I'll check the news.
What you're getting is that after recent celebrations of the planet's liberation at the hands of a small group of adventurers working with resistance forces led by Lord General Revuel O'Donnell, after celebrations have completed, Lord General Revuel and Lord General Marcus Solend have begun planning stages for reconstruction of significant portions of the planet's city structure that has been either damaged or just not maintained under the previous empire. Also working on communications efforts to try and bring additional supplies from outside, and also working on, as soon as possible, trying to do what they can to clear the debris that has kept the planet so isolated from the rest of the world as fast as possible. Because it's only recently that with a Galnet hook that they've been able to get any access to anything outside.
And that debris is orbiting the planet, or
Yes.
Okay.
From what you gather from looking through the communications, because they've already set up as much information as they can to try and present themselves to the world at large, there is a very thick cloud of combinations of destroyed starships and various other astronomical debris orbiting the planet that has been, from the natives, just dubbed the Ashen Shroud, which has basically blocked out any and all significant communications wavelengths.
Okay.
And also, for the most part, prevented them from seeing much in the sky outside of, like, not even really stars can really be seen at night.
Okay. So they basically, this planet lives in a very large galactic Faraday cage.
Basically.
And they're working on stripping that down.
Yeah.
Is it particulate? Is it debris of a significant dimensions? What are we? Is this more like a? Okay, so it's not like a full-on gas nebula where you'd need like a scoop to get any sort of collection.
It's not a homogeneous mix.
Okay, all right.
What you're gathering is that a significant portion of it comes from the fact that, according to the history they've got, the previous empire had set up a planetary scale cannon in the capital that was automatically aimed and was termed the Divine Cannon, powered by ancient precursor technology that was specifically purposed to shoot down any ships that approached the planet.
Okay. But that's
So
been
a lot of that
since
is
deactivated.
Yeah, a lot of that is orbiting debris from ships that have been shot down.
Okay.
Did we get contact information for planet side when we got there?
They told us General Solend and Lord General O'Donnell were the two people to contact on Severinus.
Yeah.
Okay.
And considering they've only just got a Galnet hookup, you don't expect they've got like lots of communicators available, at least that are Galnet hooked. So
whoever you ring up is probably fairly closely related to one of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Should we hail and see if we can get in touch, Rouge?
Yeah. See if we can get in touch and
I like that.
what situations we're getting.
I like the image in my brain right now, which is Coltarn pulled up a data pad and started like connecting in to read news and stuff. And then the two of you flanked over his shoulders and began reading over his shoulder out loud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Brain fart.
He's just like,
sorry, did you expect privacy?
No, it's just I'm not used to people reading over my shoulder.
One of them has to fly a little bit.
Till's like
Till keeps doing like a little hop and then slowly drifts down, back up again.
You're doing the water bob. You're doing the water bob, but in air.
Right. Yep. Treading Atmo. And then we can at least see what they need most help with.
Yes, we can come up with. We still have some time to prepare if we know what we're getting into. We have time. We have time to come up with options.
Coltarn, I assume you're seeing what I'm seeing, and he sort of indicates the Ashen Shroud. A lot of raw materials.
Yes, would be a veritable scrapper's delight. I don't know if they intend on reclaiming it for themselves, but might stick a net out as we pass through.
And I assume that If they're a fairly isolated civilization, they don't have a ton of experience in zero-G salvage, so we might be able to provide some services there, if not elsewhere.
Certainly a service to offer. Potentially one they hadn't considered if they've been cut off from the galaxy for a while. I doubt there are very many artificers on planet, so...
If you are we close enough that you can do a scan of the Ashen Shroud?
Not yet. You'd have to actually be in orbit.
Okay.
No, that
When
won't
we
be
get-
until we've actually made the jump.
Okay, when we do that, get a scan of the shroud and see if there's thinner spots we might be able to make entry into easier.
We should be able to do that. In the meanwhile, I'll see if I can reach the planet from here, and I'll try to put a communication burst out to the planet through the Galnet hook.
Yeah, like the Galnet hook is Magitech, which is the only reason it's able to penetrate at all. It's a relatively advanced one that relies more on the magic than it does the technology. So it eventually manages to pull through, and you get the face of an individual currently wearing what looks to be some kind of military helmet. You get
Is it white with floppy ears?
No.
Okay. Damn.
What were the two names we were given again? General Adano and who?
Well, yeah, Dono and Solend.
They're in the party notes document if you need them.
Yeah.
You see like the like the green scarf that you would see on like a resistance fighter's typical outfit, like the like just like neck scarf with like this very like geometric helmet that has like a small chin strap to keep it secured in place, and then it sort of like swoops forward with this sort of very intentionally aggressive looking helmet design with like two extended binocular vision runs that go over their eyes, and then a third one rising up over the top of it, all in very like gray and steel colorations with 3 red lenses in the front.
They see a heavily armored orc.
Yeah.
Greetings. This is Coltarn of the Dust Knights aboard the Gulnaz Vulkir, attempting to reach out to either General Marcus Solent or Lord General Adano on behalf of the Core Adventurers League.
Right. Right. This is the recently established Severinus Communications Hub, so we'll get you in contact with the Lord Generals as soon as we can.
Thank you.
And the visual feed cuts for a minute, and then
Did they have hold music?
What kind of hold music?
Is it just white noise?
yeah, it's the whole music is you know what? I'll say it's the Final Fantasy in music.
Sade.
Not the rude sandstorm.
Deep hurting.
But a few moments later, the visual comes back, and you're looking at a older looking gentleman, probably late middle aged, long black hair, getting a little bit of gray in the corners and around the front, pulled back mostly into a ponytail, little bit hanging out in the front, with an eye patch over his right eye, fairly scruffy beard, wearing what looks to be a combination of like a very old, very ancient styled robes with battle armor that looks much more modern and kind of unique to this planet, sort of overlaid on top of it. Hello, I'm Lord General Revuel O'Donnell.
Greetings, Lord General. This is Coltarn of the Dust Knights, contacting you on behalf of the Core Adventurers League. We were sent by, as soon as I remember the name, Karos? Yeah, Karos.
Yeah.
We were sent by Karos to offer our assistance with some demonic incursions that have been reported from your planet. Also, on the way down, we've noticed that there's a bit of a scrap heap surrounding. If you had a mind of reclaiming any of those materials, we would also offer our assistance with that as well.
Your assistance is greatly appreciated. The last adventurers that came through from the League did wonders, considering they liberated the planet.
I don't know if we'll be able to double that feat, as it's already been done, but...
But yes, there are still leftovers from the previous empire's machinations that need to be dealt with. And at the very least, some assistance in helping us plan out salvaging operations would not go unappreciated. We have very little experience in the stellar field, as one might expect. There are only a handful of still remaining Cardon. Damn it, he's still fucking me up in this game.
Sorry.
There's only a handful of still remaining Kardosh who even remember what life was like on the galactic stage left on this planet.
Well, we have a handful of capable spacefarers aboard this ship that will be... I sort of look towards the orcs that are manning the ship. That would be of service with assisting in the training and potentially equipping of your people.
All right, well, we look forward to your arrival. Do you have an ETA?
We should be arriving sometime on the morrow. We're 2 void jumps away from your location, which is quite a distance, but we should be able to cover it tomorrow.
I'm afraid that means nothing to one who has never been to the stars.
Yes. That's all he says. 8 charisma.
Within 24 hours, we should be at your location.
That's what I said.
Much appreciate your assistance.
Yeah. Basically
Literally,
reiterate.
What is it?
Yeah. Obviously, he wasn't paying attention. Yeah.
Well then, we'll send another message as we're arriving.
We eagerly await your arrival.
Without
Communication
saying,
cuts.
yeah. Without saying, and you, he just cuts the communication.
All right, then. You two are the most technically apt. Perhaps while we're traveling, you two could think of a plan of some sort to help with at least getting the salvage operations off the ground.
We'll need to make sure they have ships first.
I was going to say, fairly apt descriptor, though. If it's a full encasement, honestly, getting some sort of at least small station in orbit to serve as a staging ground, it's going to be your best bet. Up and down burns a lot of energy. If we can just get people up and out there
And
doing the
send
work,
resources down.
and then send resources down, some sort of shielded drop pod kind of thing.
Could create a orbital elevator, but
Skyhook.
I don't know if they have the resources for that. May need to grab some
We'll
of
look
the
at-
scrap on the way through.
We'll look and see what they have. Yep.
I'm gonna go find the. With the time that we spent on the ship, have we determined whether or not there's a quartermaster on the ship?
I think we have talked to him, haven't
Well, no,
we?
we've talked to the engineer. I don't know if we've talked to the quartermaster.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's who it was.
There is one, yes. You haven't spoken to them all that much,
Okay.
but
Well, first to the captain because rank.
Yeah.
I'm gonna head over to find captain. um, whose name again eludes me.
Zeph Nash.
Yeah, Captain Zeph Nash.
Yes.
Is this ship equipped at all for recovering salvage?
Not particularly.
Is it possible?
Not without. Well, not without a significant amount of spacesuits, and essentially the only method we would have of scavenging would be sending people out individually.
In that case, we'll just have to run a scan as we go by. The planet is covered in debris from destroyed spaceships over the years. We're hoping to recover some resources that might be useful and also to train the people of the planet in scavenging so that they might reclaim some of the resources that have been surrounding their planet and keeping them cut off from the rest of the world, or the rest of the galaxy. But
that
wasn't
is
sure what
something
the
that we're good at. We
capabilities.
can certainly give them at least some advice and general best practices for the operation.
So if we were able to recover some amount of resources, we might have been able to help them construct additional equipment. But if that doesn't seem possible, then we'll just have to settle for instruction.
We'll see.
Till would go off to find while Coltarn's talking to the quartermaster, Till would go off to find Kendall.
I'm not a captain, but yeah.
Or captain, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so well, if we basically determined that like not going to be able to recover any on the way through, but they'll be able to help at least train and educate people.
Yeah.
Kendall will probably be hanging out probably in mess hall or whatever counts for it.
Okay. Miss Fairchild, question.
Yep.
Does your father do much in the way of salvage and infrastructure operations, or is it mostly transport?
I mean, he sometimes contracts with companies, I think. There's some, absolutely.
We've got a big debris cloud of basically, it's a ship graveyard out there that we're going to have to fly through before we get to the planet. And yeah, a little bit. The thing about ship graveyards is that there's usually leftovers.
Oh, yeah, he might be interested.
So, I mean, maybe having some sort of setup to where we can kind of get a kickstart for this planet's infrastructure, start a decent relationship there, figure something out. Coltarn's checking to see if our ship can start as the staging ground, I think, for salvage, but having, I mean, this is a transport with guns on it, basically.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying like have daddy contact them and start and set something up here.
Right.
I can let him know for sure.
Right. Or you could, I mean, I'm sure your father would let you take point on that and being the contact to get things going. But based on what he said when I was initially assigned to you, you weren't going out on a commercial effort.
No, not really. Like that.
But since we're here, that's all.
I mean, probably. I don't know. I don't even remember which of my siblings is responsible for that. I don't know if I want to step on their toes too much, but
your family, you're the expert.
I mean, I can. I guess I can. You know what? I'll call my dad and see what he wants to do. If he wants me to do it, fine. I'm not actually technically part of the company yet, so
Sure.
but yeah, I can definitely call him and see what.
But you know people. You can network a bit if it has to be done. But at the same time, yeah, no, not necessarily taking over assignments that other people are supposed to do.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. No, that absolutely makes sense.
So I swear I'm not trying to start a trade war.
Yes.
Definitely the sentence that is used to start when somebody is not trying to start a trade war.
My next stop after talking to the captain was
Yes.
going to be to call my dad.
Excellent. Everybody
and
call
see
dad.
if he knew anybody that worked in that if he knew any salvage operations that might be willing to donate their time and expertise.
Y'all about to start a fucking international incident.
Like
It's
I
okay.
said, not that I wasn't planning on this, but Till went
Like,
off.
You got an orcish crew about to be giving advice, and then a dwarven weapons company and a fucking archfey led shipping company.
Hey, competition breeds capitalism.
Literally, all you're missing is somebody from the Majocracy.
That's me. Oh. So yeah, whenever I don't know if you want to do Kendall's call to her dad first, but that was my next stop, was to say, hey, just to call my dad.
What's the name of this? What's the name of the planet?
Severinus?
Savarinus.
Severinus.
Okay. I'll go ahead and ring up.
Yep. So you hold on to your pendant and focus a little bit. Ah, darling, it's good to see you. Well, hear from you.
Hi, Daddy. So we are currently around the planet Savarinus, and apparently there's a big salvage. There's a ship graveyard here. And Till mentioned that it might be something that you want to get in on. So I said I'd let you know and see what you might potentially want to do about it.
Salvage ops could potentially be profitable. Do you happen to know how old of a ship graveyard we're talking here?
Hold on just a second. Till,
Yes, Miss
how
Fairchild.
old? How old is the graveyard?
Anywhere from probably a couple millennia to several weeks ago. They had a big point defense laser that just shot anything that got too close. So pretty decent.
So started
duration?
like a long ass time ago is what you're saying.
Yes.
Sounds like it's pretty old.
There might be some ancient technology worth salvaging there, especially for the historical value, if nothing else. If any of those destroyed ships, say, predate the Deadlock War, which it sounds like they might, then there would certainly be value in museum pieces among the salvage. We could probably negotiate something.
Okay. Cool. Do you want to do that? Or I figured you guys would want to do that. Or I know I actually came up with names. I just don't have them anywhere.
You never gave them to me. So.
I never gave them to you. I know that I wrote them down somewhere, at least some.
Like there's nothing in your Roll20 profile.
Huh.
Written down somewhere.
Yeah, written down somewhere. I will find them and I will get them to you at some point. But I don't know if this is something you wanted to handle official in-house, or I mean just official in-house, I guess. Or what. But I mean, now so like cool.
All right, we'll get. You know what? I'll have to draw some plans up, but this is definitely worth looking into.
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, cool.
Was there anything else? Was there anything else you needed, honey?
No, I am totally fine here. Everything is good. I just wanted to let you know about that since Till had seen that and seen the opportunity there. So that's pretty much it. I'm pretty busy here, so I'm gonna go ahead and go. Bye, love you, and then hang up.
Excellent.
Let's not tell Archfey Dad about the near-death experience with a mind flare dragon.
Nope. Or one of the
or-
the many other things going on.
Or the chaos dragon.
Yep. Either he knows already or he doesn't, and he's not going to find
And he
out.
doesn't
from
need
me.
to.
I put in a good word for you on it.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, you found you came up with the idea, so. And
Meanwhile,
he's going to draw plans. It'll be good.
Wonderful.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the ship, I place a call to Starbreaker Arms.
you probably have your father's direct line.
Yeah.
And it rings. It comes eventually. The vid comes up. Ah, Coltarn, good to see you, lad.
And you as well, Father. Out of curiosity, we're about to land on tomorrow we'll be landing on a planet Sevarin in the, sort of on the
There's a U.S. in there you missed.
Sevarinus. On the, is this like, would this be considered galactic south? Like, is there a, is there a galactic
as much as
Galaxies
they try-
rotate, so
yeah, I understand, but
they try to orient themselves with the rotation of the galaxy because you have to when you have things that are operating across it.
you have to have
So,
some degree of orientation.
Yeah.
You'd probably name the arm of the star belt and its rough relation in a rotational manner, which in this case would be counter basically clockwise from the Republic territory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll name the quadrant.
Yeah, it's at X amount spinward from
Yeah.
Republic
Right.
territory. Yeah.
This amount's been worked, yeah. And the planet has been occupied for a significant amount of time by a tyrannical dictatorship that had access to a particularly powerful weapon, a planetary cannon that was used to automatically fire upon any ships that came too close, resulting in a very massive scrapyard surrounding the planet. We're heading there to provide some aid in a separate matter, but also offer our services in training and education of salvage, considering the people of the planet might want to reclaim some of that material. I was wondering if you might know someone who'd be interested in building a salvage station outside in orbit around the planet to assist with that.
Salvaging sort of what we do, lad. I think we can probably put something together if we need to and make a deal with them.
We don't have any of the raw materials ourselves, but I figured you might have an idea for something that could slap together for salvage purposes. It's a fairly old salvage yard, several hundred years from what I gather, so there may be some valuable finds amongst the rubble.
Aye, that might be worth digging through.
And at the very least, I'm sure the planetary cannon might be something you'd be interested in looking at.
Oh, certainly. Aye. Now that's very interesting. I might have to send someone over.
We'll be
Or
there.
come over myself.
We'll be there in 2 more jumps. I'm not exactly certain how far away we are from home, but
We've probably got an engine that can get there fast enough.
I'll forward on the coordinates. I'm sure the people here would appreciate any and all assistance they can get. They've only recently rejoined the galactic stage as a whole and are not quite yet space-worthy. I'm going to be building a ship out of scrap, I feel.
We might be able to strike a deal for some salvage ships in exchange for a cut of the salvage.
Well, if you send anybody over, our contact on planet is Lord General Ordano. We're going to be meeting with. We've already spoken with him directly, offering our services, and we'll be landing tomorrow. So
I'll draw up some plans and see what might be done.
all right. Well, I'll talk to you later then, Father.
Good luck out there.
You as well. Trade
Anyone
war.
else have family they want to bring in?
Yeah, actually, I have an uncle that's also into salvage. He lives in the Coalition of Tribes territory, so this should get real interesting.
Though I will say that our two families have differing goals in salvage, so it might not be as severe of a trade war.
These are like, hey Gideon, we should call your moms about the salvage.
No, good.
No, yeah, Gideon totally thought about calling his moms, except two things. Number one, he doesn't know how he would do that. Number two, they definitely don't know anything about salvage.
So, anyone have anything else they need to do for the day?
Not for the day. No, I don't think so.
No, not for the day.
Nope.
The only thing I would do is go to everybody that wasn't part of the initial call or made a call about the planet and let them know that we made contact with them. So Bees, Mistle, and Gideon, basically.
And Kendall, but you might assume that Till already told Kendall.
Yeah, I would go find Kendall if because I didn't know if he's gone to talk to her yet.
I mean, he's still down there, so you'll run into him as soon as you get there. Yeah. Mhm.
But
Covered.
yeah, other than that, that's all I do.
So, the next day passes. And the ship gets by on its two natural jumps. And you eventually find yourself coming out of the void into orbit around what initially just looks like a cloud of debris. It is so thick that you can hardly see the planet beneath.
Oh, that's not scary at all.
That is quite the shroud.
You're muted, Jack.
Till's gonna jump on scanners and see if there's anything of interest that pings just on a basic scan of the debris field.
Coltar, meanwhile, goes, I think there's enough scrap there for 3 or 4 different salvaging operations to operate simultaneously.
That's pretty dense. You're not wrong.
But based on an initial scan, immediately you identify leftover IFFs, either just still faintly working or just based off hull signatures, from ships from every major civilization, ranging from a couple years ago to a couple hundred years ago. The earliest ships that you managed to locate off a brief scan that you can find off the more intact chunks that are laying here do in fact predate the Deadlock War.
Okay. He'll just sort of highlight those, see if he can gain at least a rough ping where you could follow trajectory to try and more or less mathematically keep track of them just based on standard Newtonian physics, orbital mechanics.
At least by construction date.
Right.
These could obviously have been in operation during the Deadlock War.
Mhm. Yeah, so
And
he'll
based on what you know of the planet's history, this place was colonized by people fleeing the Deadlock War,
right.
and then an empire came up and shot everything down, trying to
Right.
escape. And
Okay. Yep. So yeah, he'll mark anything of interest and then also look for, hey, are there any pockets that we might be able to sneak through here without, smashing into everything between us and the planet?
I'll go ahead and
You can-
put in.
Go on.
I'll go ahead and put in another call to Adano.
Yep. He picks up.
Sorry, I put a Starburst in my mouth. No, General Adano, this is Colton again from the Dust Knights. We are entering orbit over the planet, trying to find a path through. Is there any place in particular you'd like us to touch down on planet?
Well, the only place that has anything resembling ideal landing place for a starship would be the capital.
Do I have an estimate, like land size, we would need to land this kind of ship on not a dock? Because it flies. Does it fly vertical or horizontal? I forget.
The axe head shape is vertical.
Yeah.
So it's but like for like length across and like it can land on solid ground. It's not that large yet. It won't break up in.
No. I was just thinking that it would like cleave a cleft through the earth, and maybe a ravine would be a better landing spot.
No, it can land.
Would it land like if the axe head was like facing this way? Would it land like this rather?
Basically,
than,
yeah.
Like yeah.
Okay. So yeah, if
Yeah,
I,
like with the axe head pointed like that, it would land like that.
Okay. So it's not like a bearded axe head. It's just
No.
But yeah, so I would indicate the amount of space we would need to land it, which may or may not be, because I have no idea what size of a ship he's seen previously, but this is a fairly large one.
What's the in size of
I spit out a ridiculous amount of meters, and then translate to whatever measurement unit he's used to.
It's about 500 feet in length and less than that, obviously, in width, but it needs roughly that much. Like you would need a roughly 500 by 500 landing space.
I will translate that over to him.
Yes, we've got what was previously the military parade ground would be an ideal place to land.
All right. Just to be forewarned, in case you people have never seen an Orca ship before, it looks like a giant axe head.
I mean, we've never seen any ships before, so.
And the adventurers that came before teleport?
No, they landed their ship quietly in the middle of the forest. It was small enough to do so.
Ah. Not so in this case. Well, we will do our best to make our way through the debris and be on the ground shortly. End communication. I never know how to end these conversations, I say to Varouche.
About what I would do. I've never made contact with a previously cut off civilization either.
Well, let's make an entrance that I'm sure will be impressive. And I will proceed to go help Till and or anybody else that's piloting the ship figure out a way to land this thing, as well as providing them with the landing location.
Yeah, if there's anything I can do to help out on the bridge, I will definitely be doing that.
Looking for something called. We're looking for something that looks like a parade grounds located here.
So you after a bit of scanning, the crew manages to find a decent enough tunnel that they, with some tricky maneuvering, they'll be able to get through. So I'm going to make a roll for the pilot, which is the captain.
You're muted, Jack.
And this is when the NPCs fuck us over and crash the ship.
No, they're not
Yay,
my-
let's make new characters.
This is the
They're not
point
my
where we find
NPCs.
out. The point where we find out that yes, while stuff does orbit, it doesn't always orbit in the same direction as everything else around it.
Right? Yep. A lot of different independent vectors there.
Yeah. Oh, look at that grain of sand going, oh, a fraction of the speed of light.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Fuck
the
your shield.
anyone in the cockpit to watch this, or
Oh yeah, no. If we're
Like
if we're
most
getting
of
ready
us
to
are.
chart a
Bridge.
course through a debris field, Till's there and kind of Till's there ready to take over a yoke if he needs to.
That's
Rouge
where I
is in
made
the-
the call from.
Yep.
Rouge does not have the same enthusiasm for whatever this is about to be. So he goes, finds a spot in the galley and straps himself down.
We'll definitely be there.
If it can be
so
seen
will
from
be
the
there.
viewing, sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm so sorry.
No, all good.
I was just saying she'd be there. Sorry.
Okay. If it can be seen from the viewing port, bees will stay put there. Otherwise, some of the bees will come up to the cockpit.
so for those of you who have not seen the controls of a ship in action before, the Goblin standard ship control schematic it allows one person to do most of the ship's maneuvering outside of extremely large ships, which require much more fine control. But but the general control scheme for most ships that aren't colossal is that from the helm's chair, there is a seating position and a pair of arms on the over the shoulders descend with two suspended bars for that you would grip, and then allow you can customize the control scheme, but essentially the position that one holds those bars allows them to adjust the ship in basically all three dimensions while maintaining motion by using tactile feedback around, and it basically the free floating controls allow them to manipulate the ship in space basically. And there are customizations that fit anyone who has any number of preferences, but the standard is these like sort of two arms that descend.
Cool.
In this case, sized for an orc.
Yeah. So she grips the two bars and sort of twists one to adjust the yaw, twists another to sort of change rotation, and then moves one, pushes one forward, adjusts acceleration. And the ship begins to maneuver down into a very narrow space between sets of debris. And it sort of starts to twist, try and adjust for the shifting of what little column they've got. And it has to maneuver around several different bits of floating debris. There are times when a bit of floating debris just sparks off the ship's armor. And it's just continuing to push down. The armor is thick enough that we just need to avoid anything too large. Small impacts won't do much but scratch the paint.
I'm just gonna keep an eye out as we go by. I want to see if anything catches my eye as we pass it to sort of mentally mark it for later. And
Roll
I've got
perception.
I've got my scanner going as well. Which, just as a reminder, because it's a thing from Dark Matter. My scanner analyzes the electromagnetic spectrum around. It detects the presence, number, and type of technological devices within 30 feet. I don't know if that can be expanded out because I'm on a ship, but
Yeah, it's more of a personal scale thing.
yeah. determines whether or not a unique construct or device. It also determines whether or not a unique construct or device has been present in the area within the last hour. I don't know how that works with orbital debris, but yeah. Aside from that, perception.
And
So-
Till's just keeping an eye on the viewfinders and stuff. His passive perception's 20 for whatever that's worth.
I am so good at perception. 20.
Hey!
Kindle's looking for pretty things.
Till's standing right there.
Gideon is also actively watching to make sure. Or Gideon's actively watching to make sure the pilot doesn't need help, like that something doesn't happen to the pilot or whatever.
Don't encourage that fixation, Jack.
Okay.
Or do either way, because that would be fucking hilarious.
I
Right.
also like the mental image that Till and Gideon are like prepped to jump into that chair if the pilot first if something happens to the
Absolutely,
captain.
100%
the captain, who is an orc, and thus like pulls their body weight on the grips themselves. So like it would take all of them to move one handle at a time.
Yeah, like the feedback, the weight feedback on the on the controls are adjusted for orc scale. So
It's just like they hit each other, then both grab a thing and get yanked around by the controls.
Whee!
yeah, the ship slowly, very carefully descends through the atmosphere, and after a couple of minutes, the ship manages to pull free from the debris, and you are left with a planet that is mostly water, with a long belt of land that seems to connect around the center of it. It doesn't look like any sort of naturally formed landmass, but as unique as that is, it's easy to navigate at the very least. There appear to be two primary oceans and then just a belt of land between them. And then
Interesting
Ship.
biome.
the ship comes down, and so with the throughout that with the 20 perception and the passive perception, Coltarn, you immediately spot ships of dwarven design and orcish design that are centuries old that you sort of pass by. You see one dwarven linebreaker ship that looks like it belonged to a clan that your father is a known ally of that has been drifting here for centuries.
Making a mental note of that. Get that one back to their ancestral home. Get that one back to their ancestral home. That one, the planet can keep. That one, maybe I can repair.
But then eventually the ship comes down and touches down in the capital. And as you all prepare to step out and be greeted by whatever is waiting for you on the surface of Savaranus, that's where we will go ahead and end for the week.
Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
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 Goodbye.